For better or for worse, it sounds like Aaron Rodgers is not returning to the Jets in 2025. But the latest rumors, a trade? Vikings? Brett Favre storyline all over again? Oh boy. Here we go.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
I made it clear that my intention was to play, and my intention was to play for the New York Jets.
You're fucking wrong!
For those that watch on YouTube, did you see that guy? Aaron Rodgers. I intend to play for the Jets. As I look at myself, I'm that, I don't know what the movie or scene is where the astronauts like kind of pounded on the glass at his younger self. Wait, stop, no, you don't know what's happening. Yeah. I'm Paul Usden Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. Welcome to Boy Green Daily. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. We do a daily video show every single friggin' day at 7:30. And we got a special guest today. You guys know this guy, a New York Jets content creator on the Mount Rushmore of New York Jets content creators. This tall, handsome bastard. Matt O'Leary joins us on the program. What's up, Matt? Good morning.
Good morning to you, Boy Green. We were just saying before we got started here, there's always something to talk about with this team. Even at 3-8, they are never boring.
Yeah, that's the gift that keeps on giving, Clark. So here we are, and let's talk about this. So I've heard a few people talk about this Aaron Rodgers Vikings trade rumor story. Rich Cimini brought it up. Shout out to Jake Asman. I included it in the quote. We have a full column in the YouTube description down below. If this is just hitting your face, you're like, wait, what? Yeah, apparently there's been all this. The Vikings reporter that covers the ESPN reporter that covers the Vikings for the mothership, he poked the flames on this, said, oh, it's happening, baby. And then Rich talked about it and everybody else that, well, let's go to the beginning of this, which leads to the potential trade. It seems like there have been a lot of reporters, Rich Cimini, Connor Hughes, and many others that say, like, it's the end of the road. Aaron Rodgers may be playing football in 2025, but it won't be for the New York Jets. What's your reaction to that, Matt O'Leary?
Yeah, unfortunately, not crazy surprising based on how this year has gone, right? You know, at 3-8, they're going to have a new GM. They're going to have a new coach. They've already fired both the GM and the coach that started the season with the team. And I thought it would be hard for you to find a candidate and be like, all right, you also have to keep Aaron Rodgers. I think it's behoove the Jets to find someone to come in and have their own plan, and whether that included Aaron Rodgers or not, like, I thought from the Jets perspective, you kind of just had to let whoever you're hiring decide what they want to do. Now, that was before we had some bombshell reports come out where the owner allegedly wanted to bench Aaron Rodgers 4 games into the season. True or not, hilarious, in a way, sad and also very funny at the same time. But unfortunately, Rodgers he doesn't look like himself, and I never expected, like 2020 MVP Rodgers. But when you watch on Sundays, it feels like he's not moving around all that well. He's hesitant, he's missing throws, and the offense is really struggling most weeks. So I don't blame them for kind of wanting this clean break and starting over.
Yeah, by the way, I forgot to do this at the beginning of the show. Let's flip it for our emoji countdown. Our number one Austrian Jets fan, you're on deck, baby. We just need 100 members to the Boy Green Coffee Club, and we'll get that going for you. A great supporter of the show, so keep the memberships flowing, baby. Join the Boy Green Coffee Club. It's a pinned comment on YouTube, also available in the YouTube description down below. You mentioned the Woody Johnson report, so we'll bounce all over the place a little bit here. So I read the Athletic report. I'm like, oh, benching Aaron Rodgers after week 4, that seems a little aggressive. Like, and you look at the week 4 box score, you're like, okay, Rodgers didn't throw a touchdown, didn't throw a pick, at 200 some odd yards, whatever. Obviously, it was incredibly disappointing at the time, we lost to what we thought was a shitty Denver Broncos team, like 10-9. Ah, Jesus, look at this. And now the Broncos obviously have fared very well for themselves. And all my Bo Nix tweets, I must delete immediately for all the sucking I thought he would do. And now here we are. But you know, I see the benching one, and I'm like, kind of like, wow, that's aggressive. Like, that's weird. And then the other one that came up was, yeah, Tony Adams. Bench. I was like, whoa, that's sort of out of left field. And I joked yesterday on the show, I didn't even think Woody Johnson knew who Tony Adams was. It just, that one, I just didn't understand. That one just seems like, you know what? Damn it, we need answers. And we're like, okay, Woody, what do you want to do? Thomas Morstead, bench. Wait, Thomas? Yeah, he didn't really say that, but like he said it for Tony Adams, and I was like, whoa, what was your reaction to Tony Adams? Tony Adams apparently catching a stray from Woody.
I was just going to say Tony Adams catching strays is also one of the more funny lines from that whole article. Like, and apparently he's very active. Woody very active on social media and my assumption Jets Twitter, which is not surprising. But I was saying, like, I'm surprised that Tony Adams was the first victim and not like Michael Clemens if he's actually reading Jets Twitter, right? Like, I feel like Michael Clemens is getting more heat than our guy Tony Adams here. Yeah, just hilarious that Woody's again. We don't know how much of this is true or not, but according to the article, Woody's like, Tony Adams benched. He's part of the problem on the defense.
I guess he is listening to Jets Twitter, but like I said, to your point, like Michael Clemens has been berated. And I mean, this isn't just a season. This man has been berated for years for like, maybe we should do some of this Michael Clemens guy. If Woody was really listening, you see that when you're like, okay, maybe Woody actually is listening here, which would be pretty interesting. Back to this Jets-Vikings thing. That could be possible. So it looks like Rodgers won't be on the Jets next year. Again, that makes sense for everything. If Woody kept Rodgers on and forced him onto whoever the next head coach GM is, I think that would drastically affect who you could potentially hire. So if you want to completely open it up and get the best possible people you could get, I think you either have to remove Rodgers from the equation or allow that decision to be made, as you mentioned earlier, Matt, to the new people that are coming in, which, by the way, I'm totally copacetic with, which likely means you'd have to cut Aaron Rodgers. And there's no guaranteed money. There's all the dead money. You have to eat that no matter what. But I said, you probably got to cut him. And then there's been some talk of like a trade. And I'm like, damn, I mean, you would need a very specific team to want Aaron Rodgers, who's 40, turns 41 in like 2 weeks, to be your guy. I mean, you would need, and then all of a sudden someone brought up the Vikings. I mentioned Sam Darnold's probably going for a long-term deal somewhere else. JJ McCarthy, unfortunately, just had a second surgery on his injury, which is incredibly disappointing for that young man. So they need a guy for 1 year. Aaron Rodgers, he'd love to give the business to the Packers twice a year. And then there's the Brett Favre storyline. Matt O'Leary, it's just so crazy. I never thought I'd quote Master of Disguise on Boy Green Daily, but it's just so crazy. It just might work.
Yeah, it's history repeating itself, I guess, for some reason. What did we do to deserve this? I have no idea. I don't know what we did in a past life for this to be our fate. But I a part of me sees it. I also wonder if they would rather just sign Sam Darnold because they know that it's worked for them this year. Yeah. But that's more, he's probably looking for more years where Rodgers is just an immediate stopgap for that 2025 year. And then you could eventually turn it over to JJ McCarthy. It's interesting, but I would just find it really challenging for the Jets to get any sort of draft compensation back for the guy. Yeah. To me, it feels like it's trending towards him being cut, I would think.
Yeah, I agree. If a trade was even to be brought together, yeah, exactly. As Phil is kind of speculating, a sixth, the seventh, maybe. That's all I could maybe see if it happened. But it just makes me feel angry because we go to the Brett Favre year and everything looked great, 8-3, Super Bowl #1 seed. We're talking about all that jazz. It looked great. Then the floor bottoms out. We finished 1-4. We missed the playoffs completely. Brett Favre has as many touchdowns as he has interceptions. He was Jameis Winston before Jameis Winston, apparently. 22 picks, 22 interceptions. And then he's like, well, Jets, you might as well release me from your rights here. I'm just going to march on over to the Minnesota Vikings. And his ass goes to the Vikings. And he has arguably the greatest single season of his career. 68% completion percentage, 33 touchdowns, 7 picks, was in the top 4 of the MVP conversation, and took the Vikings to the NFC Championship game. And if Brett could just handle himself and not throw that stupid interception across his body, the Vikings go to the Super Bowl, and God knows what happens once they get there. How does that happen for the Jets? Again, they got the 8-3 start. It wasn't all shit and crap in 2008, but that immediately he goes to the next spot and just has a career year, no bicep issue here, and he just freaking goes off. That's what would be annoying on this Aaron Rodgers thing. We're like, oh man, Aaron Rodgers can't move at all. Then all of a sudden he's going to look like Lamar Jackson in purple, but a different kind of shade of purple over there in Minnesota. I could totally see us getting effed like that.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time something like that happened. He's going to be 41 next year, and I just wonder how much that Achilles injury a year ago really impacted him. Maybe the dream just died on the field that night. Like,
right.
With that
that's
injury.
Maybe that's where we were robbed, to your point. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Which I know we were with the speed bridge, and we were all hoping, like, with him coming back and practicing at the end of last year, like, the guy's an alien. He's just a freak, like Tom Brady. He's going to be back. He's going to be fine. And maybe we were too optimistic with it. And it was just like, unfortunately, like, that's the thing that effectively ended his career. Yes, he came back and played, but just not looking like the same guy. And like, if you look at the box score numbers, I'm sure he's on pace for like 3,700 yards and 26 touchdowns and like whatever.
Yep.
But it doesn't pass the eye test to me. Like the box score numbers and just, what he's on pace for, it hasn't led up to enough on the field. They don't push the ball down the field at all. It's all very, short to intermediate things. He's very quick to get the ball out. He's missing wide receivers and not on the same page with wide receivers still 11 games into the season. So I think I'm taking that risk. It's a long way of me saying I think I would take the risk that this is it. And, if he comes back and is just stellar at 41 years old, you just have to throw your hands up and go, I don't know. I don't know what we did, but it was apparently something wrong.
Yeah, I saw it. It was either an Instagram reel from you or a YouTube short, but basically the box score thing of like, Rodgers, he's great, Jets suck. But no, like, he had 30 yards passing against the Houston Texans in that first half in the Halloween game, and then finishes off crazy. He didn't have a friggin' first down last week till there was a minute 30 left in the first half. Like, yeah, I think for better or for worse, you just got to wash your hands and move on to a different option and hope that's better. I think ultimately that's the best you can hope for. If I put a gun to your head right now, Matt O'Leary, which is a little aggressive at 7:43 in the morning, days before Thanksgiving, but if I were to do that and you were to name the Jets starting quarterback for 2025, who would it be?
I'm going to go Tyrod Taylor with Jordan Travis and a rookie quarterback. Is going to be my prediction for right now. Don't hold me to that. It's only November. Like, a lot can change before April, but that's where my mind is currently.
Okay. For like a first round rookie quarterback, are you on that train? Are you on the 2-2 train, or just take one every year sort of thing, which is the sort of the bag I'm on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to taking one. It depends on how high they get up in the draft. It's also like, I'm not in love with any of these quarterbacks too, which makes it really challenging, but who knows? Maybe, maybe whoever the Jets bring in as GM or head coach, like, they really think Cam Ward, we'll just use as an example, like, he can be a guy at the next level. And if they have that much faith, then all right, do it. If not, and you just want to rock with Tyrod Taylor and Jordan Travis for a year and then wait for 2026 to get your quarterback, maybe you do that then. But honestly, I'm okay with Tyrod being a bridge. Okay.
So we have Nick Ferry on the show every Wednesday. And, speaking of bridges, people floated all kinds of different bridge options. I saw that you and him had a conversation on social media about which bridge you'd prefer to cross.
Yeah, I love Nick Faria. I want to say I love Nick Faria. I think he does a great job covering the team. I did not agree with his Daniel Jones is a better option than Tyrod Taylor take, which is fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Sure. But I would much rather go with the guy who's on the roster who will come cheaper and who, in my opinion, I think Tyrod is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones.
Well, I know you're still doing that Jets-Giants show, right, Matt?
Yes, on every Monday and usually Thursdays, but today this week we're pushing to Fridays. I floated that to my boy Anthony Rivardo, who works for Fireside Giants, and he was on my side with it. He thought the Giants would be a significantly better team if they started Tyrod, all 10 or 11 games that they've played so far this year.
So he preferred that former Giants quarterback to Daniel Jones, a current Giants quarterback. Okay,
Correct.
That makes a lot of sense. I want to get into head coaches with you, but Matt, we can't have you on the show without talking about your Sauce Gardner beef. And boy, over the last couple of years, we've had a lot of interactions between Jet content creator personalities and Jet players, for better or for worse, on social media. When you got the ba-ding, that notification that Sauce Gardner was interacting with your video there, what was your reaction to that?
You know how I found out? This is actually this makes it 10 times funnier. It wasn't the Sauce Gardner notification that set it off for me. It was NYJ Matt quote tweeting it and tagging me. And I was like, what did NYJ Matt tag me in? Because he captioned just something like Matt O'Leary right now.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? And then I looked at what he quote tweeted and I went, oh my God. I could not believe it. And that was not my intention was not to get that kind of reaction out of Sauce.
Sure.
Gardner. I was just talking about the team like I do every single day. It's not like I, at Sauce Gardner or was in his DMs like yelling at him or anything like that, which there's clearly like that's crossing a line. I think you have every right to be critical about a player and share an honest assessment. But yeah, was not expecting that. Was not expecting on a Monday to get tweeted at by Sauce Gardner. But yeah, we have since we've since squashed it. So all good on that end.
What do you mean? So you guys have since squashed it? What does that mean?
He sent me a message. So we have talked and we are all good there. So I have a lot of I thought that was very big of Sauce. So we are all set on that front.
Okay. Did it make you so okay? Sometimes we have takes and then a player confronts us and you see sometimes, I don't know which one of you does the better backpedal, but, sometimes you get a little backpedal action there where like you not you specifically, although it will be you for this question, but someone has a take, player responds, you're like, I'm just kidding. Let me backpedal that one. Like after Sauce did it make you think twice about what you said about players and social media and things of that nature?
No, I still think that he's better off logging off. And I did think the missed tackle against Trey McBride was a big deal, even though it was in the second quarter and for 17 yards.
And I just think in general, it's just a bad optic. Even if he really thought that, if he really thought what he said, like, I'm sure that his sarcastic tweet of, I'm sure that cost us the game, which by the way, when you really put the piece together, as you did in the video, like third down, this score game, get the ball back, this score game. You could say that it was más importante, but even if he said it, it just comes off bad because it looks like he's deflecting blame. It looks like, hey man, there's 19 other missed tackles on that sheet. Let's go to those before me. And for a guy that before the season, Matt, and I think we can all, I don't want to speak for you, but like a lot of us thought for Sauce, like, okay, he's going to be the highest paid corner in football. It's just the number. We'll see what happens based on other corners getting paid because he's getting at least a penny more than that guy. And when you're considering giving that kind of seismic market resetting money to a position, some of the stuff this season, not just on the field stuff for the tackling and physicality, and sure, those are all questions, but some of the social media stuff, like, man, we're paying this guy to also be a leader for this team for many years to come. That sometimes gives you pause based on some of the activity we've seen.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, going into this year, my assumption was that after this year, like they're just going to make Sauce the highest paid corner in the league by a pretty significant margin. Unfortunately, I don't think you can do that now. Now, I'm not saying like trade him and cut bait with it like that. I think that those conversations are a little premature. But now I think you're forced to wait until after year 4 and see if he has a bounce back. If he does and he goes right back to being an all-pro, which I hope happens, then great. I'd be happy to look at a contract extension at that point. But I don't think you can justify giving him a Godfather offer after a down year like this, especially like the on the field play, and then some of the things that have happened off of it with the blame game.
Do you think there's any path to him? Because, like, to your point, I think Sauce would be sort of bananas to go to the Jets, even in their new regime, go so bag time. Because if they come to an agreement, I would imagine it would not be for the number one corner money. Maybe it's top five, maybe it's top seven or something. He's on the bottom end of that, but I don't think he's in a great negotiating position. Like Garrett, on the other hand, he's on pace to be very, very close to breaking Brandon Marshall's all-time single-season reception record. Okay, maybe he's going to have some words to say about his position in the wide receiver market. But I'm curious, is there a path for Sauce, or is this just something that gets punted both from Sauce's perspective, he wants to negotiate in a better position, and the Jets saying, yeah, we sort of want to wait too?
Yeah, I think it's best for both sides to wait, because if Sauce was really dead set on getting paid right now, I think he's doing himself a disservice, because I think it would be less than what he would get if he went back to having a year like he had in his first 2 seasons next year in year 4. Then I think he's just going to get a monster contract, where now, unfortunately, this is a what have you done for me lately league. And since it has been a disappointing season for him, I do think that impacts the bottom dollar. So for both sides, both the Jets and Sauce Gardner, I think they're better off waiting.
Do any of the big boys get paid this offseason? They're eligible after the regular season ends. And of course, I'm talking about Brees Hall, Jermaine Johnson, Sauce Gardner, and Garrett Wilson. Do any of those big boys get paid this offseason?
I don't think Jermaine does after the injury.
Mm-hmm.
Brees Hall's an interesting one, right? Because he's not a first rounder, so he's going into the final year of his deal.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have the argument come up with him being a running back and the positional value, and do you just franchise tag him twice after his rookie deal expires? So I think it's going to depend on the philosophy of the person that they hire. Sure. If someone does get paid, I think it would be Garrett Wilson of all of them, and I think that is worthwhile. I think he's done enough to justify it. That is someone with his personality that I would like the Jets to build around. Not only is he a great player, but I think how he handles himself and the kind of person that he is also the kind of guy that I want playing for my team. So again, it's going to be all contingent on what this next regime is looking for. Maybe they view him as a trade chip, or maybe they view Sauce as a trade chip, or whatever. But if I'm looking at it for me, Garrett is someone that I would absolutely look to extend and reward with a new contract.
Where'd you put him in that wide receiver pay? Because this offseason, we saw people top the market like Justin Jefferson, but we also saw several people in the middle. Jalen Waddle, Devante Smith, they were hovering in that 27, 28, 29, 30. Like there's a bunch of people that were well below the top that still got paid. Where would Garrett sit after the season if he continues on this pace that he's on?
Yeah, my original thought was like something similar to the Jalen Waddle contract. So I wanted to pull that up.
Sure. Yeah.
And he got $84.75 million on a 3-year extension. I think something like that is in play here.
Okay.
I think that's a solid, which is just over $28 million a year AAV. So I think around that between $28 and $30 million a year would be my guess.
Okay. I appreciate that. Matt friggin' O'Leary, baby. New York Jets content creator extraordinaire, and CB1 if we ever need him to step in. Can certainly do that. Yeah, he brings that lankiness that certainly we're looking for from the position. Let's get into head coaches, and this is a video you've done that I've referenced for many weeks, and it is one of the popular head coaching names. That's kind of where I want to swim in with you. We'll also open up the phone line so you guys can ask your questions to Matt in just a few minutes here. But a popular name has been John Gruden, Chucky, who, by the way, is a fellow passionate guy that likes saying a lot of weird words. I'm a John Gruden guy. How could you not be a John Gruden guy? I understand it from that perspective. But the video that I've referenced from you is that in his Super Bowl season in the early 2000s, he didn't run a single snap of shotgun. And I was like, whoa, okay, wow. That is, and I've referenced it a lot when people have said, ooh, Chucky, John Gruden's the guy. That's just something I've talked about a lot. And John Gruden's a really smart guy, and it's cool to see him break down plays. And I was doing the Barstool Sports stuff, which is fun. He had his own website podcast of Gruden Loves Football, and I've really enjoyed that coverage. But that's kind of a startling statistic, especially as we're here in the modern age. That kind of makes you do a discount double check, you know?
Yeah, and it's not that like, oh, if he was hired, I don't think he would run a play out of shotgun. Like that wasn't the point of it. It was more to show like, hey, look how different the NFL was the last time one of his teams had success. And he was with Tampa Bay through 2008, but the earlier part of the 2000s was when he had the most success. And I don't think what he did coming back with the Raiders for 4 years between 2018 and 2021 was really all that impressive. I know that his final team, the last year they made the playoffs, but they were 3-2 when he stepped down at that point. So it's not like they were world beaters at that time. They were also, I mean, if you look at the draft classes as well from that era, and I get it, like Mike Mayock is the GM, so he has to hold that, but with a guy like Gruden, I'm sure he had a lot of influence on the direction that the team was going. And I just don't think that duo of Mayock and Gruden really did an all that great job recently with the Raiders. And again, like he won a Super Bowl. You can never, ever take that away from him. I think he was awesome, but I have the same feelings on Rex Ryan. Like, I just think the league has changed a lot since the last time that we've seen these guys have success. They're nostalgic. And I get it. They are good football minds, but everyone's time comes to an end in the NFL. And my concern is just if they would be able to adjust and have success in 2025 in this league.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go next. It's funny on Rex because same sort of thing, big, sexy name. That would certainly be headline splash worthy. And like I said, it's over my left shoulder. Play like you mean it. The Rex Ryan book. We all have, I'm sure, fond memories of Rex. Do you think he actually gets an interview, whether it's the head coach or some people said if the right head coach comes in, he could be DC's interviewed for a few DC jobs, Denver, Dallas, over the last couple of years. Do you think either of those are legitimate?
Yeah, I do. I do think he gets
Ooh,
an interview.
okay.
By the way, for the head coaching job.
Yep.
I think the Johnson family loves Rex Ryan. So it would not shock me at all. As we've found out, they are very plugged in on social media, and I think there is a portion of Jet fans who really would love to see Rex Ryan come back. It is a big name. It is a splashy hire that does feel like something that the Jets have kind of done in recent years. Go for the headlines, and that would be a headline hire. So I wouldn't put it past the Jets hiring Rex. That's not my preference, but I wouldn't put it past them too hotly to see them hire a Rex Ryan or John Gruden or someone in that name recognition tier.
A couple years ago, Matt, the Jets, I guess it's more than a couple now. I'm getting old. But the Jets fired Todd Bowles. And I did a podcast. Back in those days, there's just audio for me. But it was probably better for everyone, quite frankly, not to look at this. But that's neither here nor there. But the Jets fired Todd Bowles. And I came on and did a podcast. And I said, Jets, there's just one name I don't want you to hire. If you hire literally anyone else on the planet, it's going to be great. I just said, Adam Gase, please don't. But anyone else would be great. Unfortunately, the Jets hired Adam Gase. We know what happened. But I want to throw it to you, Matt, as we're getting ready for this cycle. Is there a one name on your list or a couple of names that you're like, please, for the love of everything that's holy, don't hire insert guy. You would just have immediate bad vibes about it. You wouldn't have a great feeling about their success. Eventually, we'd all have to get along, I guess, and try to see, as all this did probably with kids, like, okay, well, it's not what we wanted, but okay, let's see if it works. And it obviously did not. Who is that guy on your list?
Mike McCarthy, I think.
Oh God, yeah.
Like at this stage, Mike McCarthy. I wasn't really even. I know in 2019 he was someone that some Jet fans wanted. Honestly, I haven't been a fan of his for a little while now, but just how things ended in Dallas too feels like that would be similar vibes to when Adam Gase was hired. But then we could do the same thing. Hey, you won a Super Bowl in 2010, a Super Bowl winning coach 15 years ago. So yeah, I just that would be taking the Cowboys leftovers. I don't think is the way to go here.
That's a good answer to that question. And boy, if you get McCarthy, I imagine Rodgers stays and we're running back.
Can you imagine?
Oh my God, I can, unfortunately, which is where we go. Although I am curious because Woody made the comments of, yeah, Joe Douglas is gone. God bless. See ya. We haven't heard any of his words. Sometimes you get like buzzwords that say, oh, I'm looking for an offensive coach, or maybe as bluntly as that, or like there's like, like I said, there's buzzwords of a certain offseason. I'm looking for an innovative mind. I'm looking for one of these. So we haven't heard that yet from Woody. So I have no sense, obviously, of what direction he's going to go. But yeah, that'd be surprising. Let's go to the other side, Matt. Who is on your bang list? Who do you like? Yeah, baby. This comment. We'll start at head coach here, then we'll move into the GM conversation. Who's the coach or coaches you want? Like a top three, a number one. Who is it that is very high on your list early in this process?
Yeah, I would say my top three names would
Okay.
be Vrabel, Kevin
Okay.
Stefanski if he shakes loose
Ooh,
from Cleveland, and Todd Monken. Those are my three guys that I like the best, all for different reasons. Vrabel, I know, defensive guy, and it's very common for people to go, "Oh, we just had a defensive coach." I think offense is the way to go, but to me, I look at Vrabel as someone who has head coaching success.
Yes.
I don't really care that he comes from a defensive background. Like, we know that he could do the job as a head coach. Where someone like Ben Johnson, Bobby Slowick, or the offensive mind as an offensive coordinator, like, we have no idea what that person is as a head coach yet. We just know that their offense is really good. So Vrabel's probably my number one. Stefanski, I think, got a raw deal in Cleveland with being forced to Deshaun Watson. He's really in a spot where he can't bench him, so he's just going through the motions there. I don't think it's even a guarantee that he loses his job, but if Cleveland does move on from him, I would look at him. And I know Monken has not had the head coaching experience, but he's a little bit older than some of these other first-time head coaching options, and he has coached at the collegiate level before. But I just look at all the different places he's been and the success that they've had with different quarterbacks along the way. I'm just pretty confident that he would be able to come in and do a good job. But I'm curious if he got passed over once already 6 years ago, if he's going to want to interview again. But as of now, I would say those are my top three for the position.
I like your list. I had someone call in yesterday because I brought up Vrabel. Again, a guy who has past experience is really intriguing. He doesn't put up with bullshit. That's also intriguing. But someone said, I don't want the Patriot way or any of that garbage floating around one Jets drive. And you may get that with Flores. You may get that with a Vrabel. You may get that with any former Patriot guy. Does any of that disgust you in any which way? Or is it different because he wasn't necessarily a coach with New England, he was a player?
Yeah, it's different for me, right? And especially too, because I feel like he did enough his own way there in Tennessee. And same with Flores. Like, I think he did enough in Miami, and then in his next stops in Pittsburgh and in Minnesota, as the DC in Minnesota. So I understand where those people are coming from. Yes, usually the guys who try to recreate the Patriot way doesn't work, but we've already seen them have some success in the NFL, make the playoffs, win some playoff games, at least for Vrabel. So that's not something that really crosses my mind as a concern.
All right, we've got a few more minutes for Matt. If you guys would like to call in, we're going to take a quick Hep song break, and we'll be right back. Get those calls in. That is the pinned comment right now on youtube.com/BoydGreen25.
Boyd Green daily, Boyd Green daily, Boyd Green daily. Talking just football, man. Boyd Green daily, Boyd Green daily, Boyd Green daily. The New York Jets football club. Wow. Offense, defense, special teams. Watch the Super Bowl season with Boyd Green. J-E-T-S. Jets. Boyd.
Super Bowl season with Boyd Green. Maybe from the couch, but we'll see what happens there. But God bless you, Hep. God bless you. All right, let's go to the phone lines. We got plenty of people waiting to discuss all things New York Jets and beyond with myself and Matt O'Leary here on the show. Let's go to Johnny Boy here on the program. Good morning, Johnny.
Morning, Boyd Green. Morning, Matt. Super Bowl season with Boyd Green hurts.
What a catchy line. Very nice.
Much when you hear that right now, because
tough.
Playoffs. What are playoffs?
Mm.
Right? Question mark.
Yeah, sort of up in the air at this point. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you guys a quick question.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys saw the Devante Adams and
K Adams. Yep. Adams. I
um,
did see that full interview yesterday. Yep. Mm-hmm.
combo yesterday. I wanted to get your guys's like what you guys thought about it. Do you guys think that he kind of was like, it really depends if Rodgers is here, if I'm gonna want to be here? That's what I took from it, right? That's what it sounded like. And then the same thing with Allen Lazard. And if that's the case, are we looking at wide receivers insert for New York Jets next season as well? Just because, I mean, remember, Allen Lazard wasn't the same wide receiver without Aaron Rodgers. I wanted to get your guys' thought on that.
Yeah, I didn't get that same takeaway. It sounds like Devante kind of punted on the Aaron Rodgers future question. Hey, are you still here if he's not, even though technically he's under contract? It sounded like he said, positive vibes. Well, we still got season left. And I'm not making fun of Devante. That's what you have to say. You're on the team. You've got more runway to go. I feel like he punted on more of the future stuff, so we don't really have an answer one way or the other. To be honest, if Aaron Rodgers moves on in the way that we all think he is, I still hope Devante's here because, man, Garrett and Devante, that still sounds great to me. Whoever's throwing passes, that'd be awesome. Of course, you'd have to rework the Devante contract because it's untenable. It's not possible for the Jets or any team in the NFL that they'd be paying him that kind of scratch. But I liked a lot of what Devante said. Hey, did you regret the trade? Basically what K. Adams said in here's my filter on K. Adams. The Jets fucking suck. Okay? They've won one game since Olberg got fired. Like, geez. I mean, the Raiders suck too, but like, do you regret coming over here because you moved your entire family over here? He also has a home out in Vegas, but like, you moved your whole family over here for this shitty ass team. Regret? And he went like, nah, man. Like, I don't live my life that way. I'm Pat coming in, and I still think the Jets going to turn around, whether it's this season or many seasons in the future. So I like the answers. Matt, did you hear any of the Adams action?
Yeah, I did see it. My stance on it is I think if Rodgers leaves, I would be surprised if Devante Adams is back. I just think they would move on because they would free up, I believe it's $30 million if you just flat out release Devante. So I think that's the way that it would end up going. And if that's the case, I think Adams and Lazard would be out, and then wide receiver absolutely becomes a position of need after that. So yeah, if both those guys are out, I would not be surprised if the Jets are looking to fill wide receiver 2 and potentially wide receiver 3 in the offseason.
Whoa. Malachi Corley, buddy. Okay. We've got wide receiver 1 covered right there. Yeah.
Yeah. The Jets, they had to leak that he was their number 4 wide receiver in this draft class and then just never put him on the field.
Yeah. That's next level. That's 4D chess right there. Yeah. Go ahead, Johnny.
And the last thing, because I know you got other callers and everything, Matt, my understanding with the new regime, you got a call from Woody Johnson, and it was told that we need you to put the pads on next year to show the cornerback room what's up and let them know how to go ahead and tackle and possibly intercept some balls as well. Any truth to this?
Yeah, I not only on Tuesday night did I get an interview for the GM job, but I also showed them my highlight tape of me running around and making plays. I said, I don't know if I'll be able to keep up with these guys, but I'll give you my best effort every snap.
110%. We love that. Johnny, thanks, brother. All right, let's go to next year on the channel. We got Neil Sr.
What's up, guys? Matt, how are you?
Yeah, good to see you, man.
I wanted to float a coaching GM thing out there. I mentioned this before. This guy Borgonzi on the Chiefs.
Yeah, assistant GM. Mm-hmm.
He's been talked about a lot.
Yep.
About coming over.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to become the, New York Chiefs. That would be nice.
Sign me up. Yeah.
Can we get can we get a little bit of a, everybody wants to go after Detroit guys, and that's the flavor of the month.
Sure.
But the Chiefs, that's a professional staff that's been there for many, many years. Bradway is their GM, Terry Bradway was his son.
His son is over there too. I would just want to say this: if we go the Chiefs way, because insert way, right? Please, for the love of God, I don't want the head coach to be Matt Nagy. Because I've heard a lot of that. Like Borgonzi, because he would want, in theory, I don't know who Borgonzi is outside of what we all know on the surface, but he'd want, I imagine, a Chiefs guy that he knows. Please, for the love of everything that's holy, no Matt Nagy. Please.
Well, why don't we do this? If he wants to keep it in-house, I would take this very good. I take Borgonzi. I take Spagnuolo as the head coach.
Oh, yeah.
And then I go with Eric Bieniemy. Make the old Eric Bieniemy, bring him back as OC. And let's bring the old Chiefs back. And I'm going to tell you something. Spagnuolo, I mean, he did have a horrible coaching career at the Rams. He was horrible.
Yeah, St. Louis. Yeah.
He's
64 now.
But listen, it was only one time he ever head coached, and that was a long time ago. And you want somebody, at least he has head coaching experience, Paul, right, Matt?
Yeah.
You bring him in, he's going to turn the defense. I mean, God, I love his defense. I mean, there's no defensive coordinator that's been better the last 8 years than him. Could you name a guy that's better than him? No. I mean, right now, especially this year. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's just every year he's going to earn a head coaching job. It's this year. He's carrying the Chiefs, the defense. The offense really has not been great.
So go ahead, Matt. What do you think of that?
Yeah, for me, bringing up Borgonzi is a name that is going to rank very high on my list for GM candidates because I think he's been with the Chiefs for close to 15 years.
Yeah, I think it was 2009 or something.
Yeah, but they've been good before the Patrick Mahomes era. Like
correct, the Alex Smith era too.
Yeah, exactly. They were still a very good team for the last 10 plus years. So I'm with Neil there. I'd rather poach from an organization like that who's been good for a long time than go with like the flavor of the week with the Lions here. I think a lot of people are going to want to dip into what they're doing, but yeah, I agree 1,000% with you. It can't be Borgonzi and Matt Nagy. I want zero part of Nagy. That's another name. I know before you were asking, like, is there anybody who you wouldn't want? And I said Mike McCarthy. I forgot about Nagy. Include him on the list too.
Yeah, to be honest, no offense to Spags, but this is, I guess we could say with all due respect and then say anything, like Spags is going to be he's going to go down as one of the greatest defensive coordinators of all time. He's certainly the most decorated. He has more Super Bowls than any coordinator ever in NFL history with all his Super Bowls with the Chiefs. He's awesome. I think he showed some people are just not head coaches. And what I saw in St. Louis, and he's 64, I'm not trying to be an ageist. Like Todd Monken is in his mid to late 50s, and I feel really good. And he's on the offensive side of the ball. Spags in his mid 60s, like that just doesn't ring the bell for me. So I don't know. Borgonzi sounds great. Who his head coach is, I don't really know. How are you on Spags?
I get where Neil is coming from on it. Like, does he deserve another shot outside of just that St. Louis run? Yeah. Probably. He probably does. Yeah. But I don't know if I want to be the team that takes that gamble.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, for somebody, but not sure me.
Yeah, not me.
Yeah. All right, let's get one more caller in for you, Matt. It is Big Green joining us here on the show. No relation. Big, how you doing, pal?
Good. Hey, Matt, remember I called you on Halloween and I told you what the Jets were going to do?
What did you say that they were going to do? Refresh my memory.
I think I told you they were going to win 28-17, something like that. But you and Connor were on the line. And then they would just let us all down, as they usually do.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah. But I want to steal the Steelers coaching staff. Why don't we just go get some of them? Because every year
I'll take Tomlin. Yeah, I'll take Tomlin right now. Sign me up.
Let's just go take all their guys. I really want their special teams coordinator because that guy looks fired up.
The gum chewing guy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. There you go. That's it. I love that. Yeah. Steelers. Interesting, Matt. You know, I got to refresh my memory on who the hell are all the coordinators over there for the Steelers coaching.
Arthur Smith is the offensive coordinator.
Oh,
I don't remember. I don't know off the top of my head or remember off the top of my head who their defensive coordinator is. And once I see it, I'm Steelers DC. Let's see.
Yeah.
Carol Lawson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's the former Lions guy, too. So, yeah. I don't know. It's not incredibly intriguing. They have former Jet Carl Dunbar, I see, on the D-line coach. Aaron Curry, remember that former top 5 bus pick for the Seattle Seahawks. Like, they got some cool guys on the staff, but yeah, I don't know. Outside of Tomlin, which again, when the Steelers are like, I don't think we want Tomlin anymore. I'm like, oh, High on my list.
Please.
I'd trade for that bastard.
Oh my God. I would have done anything for Mike Tomlin to coach this Jets team. I think he's gotten so much out of that roster the last few years when they really probably shouldn't have been as good as what their record's been.
100%. And they also had similar stuff with Harbaugh with the Ravens at the end where they're like, maybe we should break up with this guy. At the time, I'm like,
Please.
yes. I volunteer as tribute. Give me one of those bastards. That would be great. Matt, as we're getting you out of here real quick, we talked about some of your head coach favorites. GM, is there a GM name you have circled on your sheet?
Yeah, I mean, Borganti was one.
Okay.
Agnew from the Lions
Sure.
is another name. I'm not against Dorsey as well. He was with the Chiefs.
Lions senior executive. Okay.
And went to the Browns. So those are a couple names that came to mind for me.
All right, beautiful, Matt. Well, what's the content looking like? Set us up. We got 700 people in the room right now. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe, show your support. Let them know what you got cooking.
Yeah, I feel like I'm reacting to a bombshell article every single day, but I don't have anything like certain what's going to go up today. We'll see how the day goes.
Roll with the punches.
Roll with the punches. Daily Jets content over on Matt O'Leary NY.
All right, beautiful. Matt, thanks for joining us, and we'll do this again soon.
Sounds good. Have a good rest of your day.
All right, there he is, Matt O'Leary, baby. We'll keep the phone lines open and keep the conversation going. Again, we started off the show with some Jets-Vikings Aaron Rodgers rumors talk. Shout out to Matt O'Leary. He's one of the best in the business. Love having him on the show. He's great. I love it. But, do you guys have coaching suggestions, GM suggestions? What else do you have? Make sure you let us know. Again, now we've got 650 people in the room. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe, show your support for Boy Green Daily. And a reminder, our next emoji countdown, we're 100 members away from our #1 Austrian Jet fan getting his emoji. Well-deserved, a great supporter of the show. We like honoring, for those who are new to the show, we like honoring our good subscribers and members to the channel that engage and support and things of that nature, either with buying memberships or just being very active in the chat. And #1 Austrian Jet fan checks off all of those boxes for sure. If you guys want to join the Boy Green Coffee Club, you can do so below. That is the YouTube description. Join the Boy Green Coffee Club here. And speak of the devil, #1 Austrian Jet fan gifting a 5-pack of memberships, baby. You love to friggin' see it. Oh, yeah, baby. And that deserves a chit-chat. All right, beautiful. We are now 95 members away from our #1 Austrian Jets fan from getting his emoji, deservedly so. And let's read off those 5 new members to the Boy Green Coffee Club right now. Ernesto Rivera, Chris Bradigan, Flight Boys 2.0 Slim God, Mike Dems, Pastor Edwin Ramirez, The Proverbial Life. You guys are all now members to the Boy Green Coffee Club, baby. We appreciate it. So, booyah. And Mike Dems, you also, I don't know if I said your name, but I want to make sure I get that out there. You are also now a member to the Boy Green Coffee Club, baby. So let's keep that rolling. It's only $2.99 a month, baby. Beautiful. I'll just tell you this, a couple of things. It's sad. Really is when I see that intro every day, which is exciting, and Gator, shout out to Gator, he made that intro video for me, and on the new intro, I wanted that raw reaction, that little weird where I'm doing all kinds of convulsions when Aaron Rodgers announced on the Pat McAfee show that he intended to play football and he intended to play for the New York Jets. Shout out to my old boss, Chris Licata with Heavy. He said, Paul, with this Pat McAfee show, we didn't know what Aaron Rodgers was going to announce on the show. But the mere chance that it could have been something football related of like his football future, he said, Paul, why don't you live stream at the same time? It's you on camera and it's Pat McAfee show. You guys are simulcasting at the same time so we could get your reaction, whatever he says. So shout out to my guy, Chris Licata. And on that show, I'm just kind of sitting there giving reactions, and then he says, I intend to play football, and I intend to play it for the New York Jets. That was me. What? Aaron Rodgers, first off, is playing football. Coming out of the darkness retreat, we thought he could retire. Who knows? Which would have obviously eliminated a quarterback option for the Jets, and I just lost my friggin' bananas, man. And it's sad that it seems like that Aaron Rodgers is not coming back next year, based on all reports. and that thus the tenure will be what it was, the lost year last year and the unfortunate stuff that's happened this year, which will unfortunately be the tenure of the Aaron Rodgers experience, it appears at this point. So, yeah, it looks like we may be calling Gator for a new intro, baby. That could be happening. It could be happening, but we'll discuss that in the future. For now, we'll keep writing this one. I really enjoy that intro a lot. So we'll see. In terms of head coaching candidates, something we'll continue to do during the bye week and all these morning programs is we're going to talk about possible head coaching candidates that the Jets could consider. We talked about Aaron Glenn this week, which, again, I'm seeing there's some Aaron Glenn love, Junior asked the same question and I would. Glenn's not bad, but who is the OC? Aaron Glenn and of course he has the backstory of the former first-round draft choice of the New York Jets. He played in the league for a long time, like 15 years or so. I mean, played for a ridiculous amount of time. So I like Aaron Glenn, the person. See, the head coach, he's not my favorite. He's not in my top 3. But there's a great coming home story you could certainly sell with Aaron Glenn. Let's go back to the phone lines. We got our guy Happier on the show. What's up, Hep?
Hey, Paul. Hey, fellas. I was thinking about the Aaron Rodgers tenure, and I remember how high we were up the first night, and it was 9/11.
Yeah.
And the lights, and it was such a rush, and it was like, oh wow, this is gonna be awesome, and it was just like, and it was just like typical, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Someone just like really just like, it was like someone pulled our drawers down right in front of like the graduation class, the acceptance speech. Boom, it was like, so, and then the Zach mess, is like, boy, we really been through it. If anybody deserves something, we do,
100%. Think about literally everything. Mononucleosis, Geno Smith's jaw getting broken, this Aaron Rodgers thing, after all the hype and hubbub and off-season videos, Hard Knocks.
The offensive carousel going in and out.
Oh, my God, yes. Different coordinators and different head coaches and drama and drama and drama. It's just been unbelievable. There's been a lot of bad in the history of the Jets franchise when you look at it in a massive whole. But if you just really just kind of hone in on the last 14 seasons for the New York Jets, it is unbelievable the things that have happened. Like even 2015, the Jets run a 5-game winning streak. All you have to do is beat the Buffalo Bills and Rex Ryan, your old coach. And all you have to do is that. And Ryan Fitzpatrick throws 3 picks in the fourth quarter, and we lose in a win, and you're in. No playoff drought we have to talk about anymore. It would be a handful of years still, but we would have broken it in 2015. God knows what happens when you get in the playoffs. No one knows that better than the Jets, who the last 2 times they made the playoffs both made runs to the AFC Championship game. So, yeah, it is. If someone writes a book about this, they're going to have plenty of material.
Definitely. I mean, we're 5 games behind the Broncos, and they're the next ones that had the biggest drought in the NFL. And we're 5 years behind them.
And they're currently in the driver's seat to be the final playoff team in the AFC, which is only going to increase our gap even more.
Yeah. Oh, well. All right, guys. Wow. Well, we'll keep the faith, and when it happens, it'll be extra good. Okay.
Hey, that's what I sell. Hep, appreciate the call. That's what I tell everybody. People ask me all the time, because I wear Jets gear every day of my life. And they say, Paul, why in the hell are you a Jets fan? And I explain. And they're like, okay. But why in the hell are you still a Jets fan? And I just say, man, it's going to be worth it. These bandwagon people, right? This just came up on our radio show this week. The people in your life, and we all know them, that are Yankees fans, Lakers fans, and like Dodgers. What was it? It was Yankees, Lakers, and like Patriots or something. Like, those people in your life. Those are losers, okay? Just bandwagon chasing. You get no real rush. But when you go through the doldrums that we've gone through, and then you eventually hit, it's going to be the sweetest, it's going to be the greatest day of my life. Of course, besides my children being born. They're up there on the list. But the Super Bowl, of winning that thing, of actually doing it. And there have been times over the last 15 years or longer, quite frankly, I'm like, the Jets are going to win the Super Bowl. It's going to happen, baby. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It didn't. But it's going to. One day. I'm looking forward to it. Let me go through some of your guys' comments for suggestions on Coach. Matt Nagy. No, thank you. Matt Nagy. Brandon Ace. Aaron Glenn, John Gruden, Rex Ryan. Again, I don't know how realistic the Rex Ryan one is. John Gruden would be interesting. I wonder if would he be willing to dip his toe in that water? Because obviously the things that John Gruden have to address is the non-football activity with the emails and the racist and homophobic and all that other stuff. And in the New York media market, he'd have to answer for a lot of those email stuff. Aaron Glenn, I'd be curious who his OC is, because the Jets in the Woody Johnson era have had 99% defensive head coaches. The only one who's offense is Adam Gase, and he sucked. For once, I'd love the head coach's bones to be offense. And we know the offense is going to be great. And if the defense is shitty, which is not great, I'd prefer the defense to be good. But if they were crappy and the offense was great, that would just be great for once. That we're just going to put up points, because it is painful. I don't have to tell you guys, but it's painful to watch the Jets offense go like this Colts game all the way to 2 minutes left in the first half for a first down. Like, I just want to score 30 points. And if we give up 40, fine. But we're scoring. Like, I want to be the Bengals, basically. Like, we're dropping 30, 40 points a night, and maybe we're losing. But damn it, is it exciting? Is it like something's going on? Give me a pulse, for God's sakes. That'd be fun. Brandon L. described the past 14 years as a Shakespearean tragedy. Certainly feels that way, Brandon. Certainly feels that way. Unbelievable. Austrian Jet fan said, if you get Glenn, you get Dorsey too. So that's probably more realistic. Dorsey could possibly bring in Ben Johnson, which would be fun, because I want that offensive guy. But that'd be fun. Dave Briga. It's not a question we deserve it. This organization doesn't deserve us. We are an incredibly passionate fan base. And there is a lot of other teams that if they had the lack of success that we've had over the last 14 years, they would have checked out by now. And I won't speak for all Jet fans, but I'll speak for myself, man. I am as checked in every year. Every year I believe it's our year. Every year I can get myself into it of thinking this is it, baby. So I have positive juices for that. Phil says, everyone likes Dable. Giants are horrible. I wouldn't want Dable as a head coach. As an offensive coordinator, it seems like he gets guys open and he has a history there. Brian Dable's an OC, depending on who the head coach is. Okay, he's got head coach experience. That has to help. But as a head coach himself, I don't want let me just put it this way. I don't want a head coach that was just fired. Adam Gase was fired by the Miami Dolphins. Just said, oh, we can fix that. Terrible decision. I don't want someone who was just fired. Maybe that comes off a certain way, but I don't want someone who just got fired. Outside of Kevin Stefanski, I guess that's the one unique example as a two-time coach of the year who has an offensive background. Like, okay, all right. Well, that's different. But besides that, like, no. I don't want someone else's garbage. Again, the Browns would be an idiot to get rid of Kevin Stefanski. He'd be on there. Yeah, and again, I don't mean to be an ageist here, but as Phil said, like Pete Carroll as the head of football ops, okay, I can see that role. Like, what's Pete? Pete's got to be in his 70s, for God's sakes. I would imagine. Yeah, well, let's see Pete Carroll here. He's 73. I don't want Spag 64. Like, I don't want a guy that's that deep, to be honest with you. Again, it's going to come off as an ageist. I'm fine with, again, Monken is in his mid to late 50s, like 58 maybe for Todd Monken. Let me get that age as I'm playing. I'm at the carnival and I'm guessing people's ages. What's he, 58 maybe? Yeah, he's 58. Perfect. Yeah. So, okay. Todd Monken and the rest of the pieces. So, like, Spags is old and he's a defensive guy. Like, Pete Carroll is, like, older than dirt. I mean, he's in his 70s. Director of football ops where he's not operating in this space. Like, he's a czar. He's an overseer. He's a wise sage in our tribe that we go to the great Pete Carroll to get his insights on. Those things he can share at his ripe age. But head coach, oh boy, I don't think so. And he's youthful at heart, but like, come on, man. I'm not hiring someone for 2 or 3 years. I'm hoping this next head coach we hire is here for 10, 15, 20 years. I hope. You know, other teams get that. That's what I would like. So I don't mean to be an ageist, but I'm willing to dip into the age pool if I'm getting the right kind of guy. Like I said, Monken's 58, but he's got all the offense, baby. Okay. That'll do. Yeah, that'll do. Let me keep going down the comment section here, and then we'll hang up. Dave Briga. Paul, when does eventual arrive? Who knows? That's the mystery. That you just stay plugged in and hopefully eventually, you know, it works out. But when it does, it'll be great. Brandon L. Monken builds elite offenses everywhere he coaches. That's what That's why Monken is number one on my list. He did it with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Jameis Winston, who is a wreck. He did it with Stetson Bennett. He won 2 national championships at Georgia. So Georgia, Tampa, Lamar Jackson, when he has the elite of the elite, he's done it there. Like Todd Monken has had crazy offenses with regardless of who's at quarterback, which if you're a Jets fan, and the Jets have had all kinds of quarterbacks, obviously, let's just book it to the last 10, 15 years. That would be absolutely awesome to have an elite offense for once. That would be awesome. Phil, Ben Johnson with experienced D coordinator like Rex, my number one option. So here's the thing that scares me about that, Phil. I don't know Ben Johnson. We know him, Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Lions, and I know he's never been a head coach. That's really all I know about him. The thing that would be very important with that sort of thing, is Rex's personality could overwhelm a Ben Johnson. I don't know Ben Johnson from my mother. Like, I no idea anything about him. But a guy who doesn't have that experience and maybe doesn't have a big personality himself could be overwhelmed by a guy in Rex who has openly said that he wants to be Jets head coach. So that could lead to some awkwardness. But I like it in theory of Ben Johnson, mad scientist on offense, Rex Ryan, mad scientist on defense. You marry those two and you get something awesome. So I get that in theory. Johnny Boy says, Grigson, Flores, Dable. The thing on Grigson, who's the former Colts guy currently with the Vikings, is I've heard a lot of bad about how Grigson operated with the Colts. I have a couple of Colts people, and it was a few years ago, so you can always learn from mistakes. But I heard a lot of Colts. I'm going to have to check back in with those people if the Jets seriously circle around the Grigson waters to see. I know he's a former executive of the year, but so is Mike McCagnon. So, so Flores, again, his relationships with players really scares me. Dable was an OC. I love that. Grigson, I'm sort of on the fence about. Phil, Rex already said he would be D coordinator for the Jets, so I'll have to go listen to that clip. I haven't heard that yet, but that makes sense. I think it'd have to be with the right head coach. Phil says Rex just wants to be back in the league. He's done a few interviews. Again, the Dallas Cowboys and Denver Broncos, he interviewed for the D coordinator job. That's true. Jets 8:30. If we went out, do we have a chance? Jets 8:30. Technically speaking, yes. If we win out, they have a chance. But the percentages are like 1 to 4%. It's not good. The Jets would have to win out, and all these other teams would have to lose out. That's why it's 1 to 4%, depending on the analytical company you trust. I told you guys before they lost their latest game. There is a realistic path. If you win out, which is a tough path, but if you won out and it had 10 wins over the last 3 years, every team that has had 10 wins, whether AFC or NFC, made the playoffs. There have been plenty of teams that have missed the playoffs with 9 wins, and the Jets lose a lot of key tie-breaking scenarios. So is it possible? Sure. It's possible. Now, it's absolutely dead at 8 wins. That's not happening in the AFC. So one more loss, and this, I think the stake is already in this vampire. But one more loss, just one more, and they can't lose this weekend, thank God, because of a bye week. But one more loss, and that final, and then the thing's over. But I think it's already over. But Brandon, that's a different one I haven't heard. Nick Saban, would he come back to the NFL? What's Saban's age? He's got to be in his 70s too. Let me see. What's old Nick Saban at? 73. So he's as old as Pete Carroll. Yeah. Saban failed in the NFL really bad with the Dolphins. I don't want to dip my toe in that water. No offense, Saban. Great college coach, Hall of Famer, legend, all that jazz. But, man. I do not think so. Dave Briga. Browns are idiots, so they could do something dumb like firing Kevin Stefanski. That could totally happen. Yeah. So keep that in mind. That's a possibility. Dan Lanning, I've heard a lot of that one. Number one Austrian Jet fan. If they want to jump into the college pool, that'd be interesting. I'd have to think back to the last college coach the Jets dipped their toes on. That wouldn't be Lou Holtz, would it? Oof, we're going back. I'd have to look on that one. But Dan Lanning's popular. Obviously, Jermaine Johnson loves him. Jets Afterburners podcast. Vince Lombardi, baby. Yeah. What's Vince Lombardi up to? Our Hall of Famer. Died in 1970. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to be an option. but I like the creativity. Jets afterburners. He's been dead for 54 years. Don't think he's going to check off the bucket list. Ryan Day. Okay, wow, I haven't heard that one. I've heard Ohio State people trying to replace him, but I don't think I've heard that other way. No Doug Peterson, I agree, after what we've seen in Jacksonville, and no thank you. No thank you. And again, I don't want Jaguars leftovers. That's disgusting. Yo Holmes is channeling his Jim Moore Sr. Win out. I just hope we could win a game. Playoffs. Yeah, I'm not saying it. Someone asked, is it possible? But I guess technically it's possible. But the Jets have. How about this? Here's a stat. Here's a stat for you folks. The Jets have 1 win in the last 2 months. You may say, what? Look that up. 2 months, 1 win. Look that one up, folks. It's true. It's damn true. I wish it wasn't, but it is. Jets Afterburners podcast. Mike Westhoff, if healthy for director of football ops, he's not healthy, unfortunately, right now. He's kind of going through it. So thoughts and love sent out to Mike Westhoff and his family. We'll have Mike Westhoff when he's healthier on the show. Looking forward to that. Hey, we got Johnny Boy back on the show. What's up, Johnny?
Hey, Burger, I wanted to ask you a real quick question.
Sure.
I was on the Afterburners the other night speaking with boys and all that, and he kind of brought right the chief of director for operations or whatever it is that is called. Do you think that's more of like the main piece that we need right now? So if that's the case, like a Curtis Martin, kind of what you were alluding the other day to, right? I like it, but would he be able to bring in, let's say, Parcells in as an advisory role to him to kind of help him figure stuff out? We want that, or like a Mike Tannenbaum that's had some type of success and knows Woody and stuff like that. The reason I say that because I think it's going to have to take somebody that has dealt with Woody already, right, to be able to go ahead and possibly do something good with us over here compared to just enter name, insert name here type of thing. But wanted to get your thoughts on that, brother. Appreciate you.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Johnny. And Jets Afterburners podcast appreciated the shout out there. Flex emoji. So a director of football ops, how important is that? I think it's pretty important for 2 reasons. One, we just need something different. We haven't had one of those. Some organizations have it. Some organizations don't. The Jets are cleaning house, obviously, with head coach, GM, and likely quarterback all wiped out. Woody Johnson is likely taking a political position that's taking him out of the country. So then it's the keys are being handed off to Christopher Johnson. We saw what Christopher Johnson did the first time. So as Yo Holmes says beautifully, a head of football ops would be paramount right now. Absolutely. A guy that can guide everything. He should be the first hire the Jets make, whoever this person is. Curtis Martin, sure. And even if you don't hire Bill Parcells as a advisory member, a consultant, he would be an unofficial consultant. You know, how many of us in our lives are going through some big stuff at our job we call our dad or something, or call someone close to us in our inner circle? Of course, Curtis Martin would call up Bill Parcells. So he's not taking a job. To Dave Brigger's point, he's in his 80s and he's in Florida relaxing. Yeah, let's see how old Bill Parcells is. Yeah, he's not taking any more football jobs. I'd highly doubt that. Let me see on Bill Parcells. What do we get here? I've been, again, playing the carnival. Yeah, 83. He's not taking any official jobs, but could he be like a unofficial consultant for Martin? Of course he could. Absolutely. He could. And he might. Curtis Martin would be an interesting one. I'm open to interpretation on who that is. Now, let me answer Johnny Boy's question. Yes, director of football ops, huge. That should be basically the guy who's making the football decisions all the way at the top. Like John Elway served in that sort of role in a more modern age. He served as this executive VP of player personnel or something. He had some made-up title, and he was a good recruiter. So Curtis Martin, in the same way, is very, very interesting. You know, he's a guy that knows a lot of people. He's a Hall of Famer. He's got a ton of NFL connections. He's also done some business work. So he's kind of got, an interesting combination of assets if you were to try to find that director of football ops. Obviously, he's a Jets legend. That he has credence and credibility from his career, of course. So he'd be a wonderful a very intriguing option potentially at the top with all the connections that he has. And you have a guy that just is world class, absolutely world class. And you have him at the top, have the top of the structure, and then allow him to find the GM to eventually then find the head coach. It would just be great to have someone up there with that isn't basically, Christopher Johnson. So Todd asked about Frank Reich. I don't know if he's getting back into coaching. It sounds like he's been beat up with the last couple of ops, the Colts, the Panthers. But maybe he'd be an interesting guy. Potentially, he's been around in a lot of different worlds. Bill Cowher was just mentioned as a football ops guy. Dave Briga, I don't understand why Chad Pennington is ever mentioned. Has he distanced himself from Woody? He's a sharp guy. Yeah, Chad, from what I understand, Dave, is he's just been spending a lot of time with his kids. Obviously, he's got a kid in college, and he's got other children, and he's been enjoying coaching them up. I think that's a real reason that he hasn't officially took a position, but I love Chad. Chad's one of my favorite Jets players of all time. It's one of the first jerseys I ever got when I was a kid. I love Chad and would love to have him as some part of the team. I know he's part of the legacy community, which is an NFL thing for the legends, the retired legends. But I would love to see him back in the building. Chad Pennington would be a wonderful option as director of football ops if he was ready to get away from the kids. Johnny Boy, Mike Tannenbaum is chief of operations. Tannenbaum, I enjoyed him when he was here. He was fun. I have enjoyed interviewing him on the show. He's been on the show before. The trades have been sexy, and he made a lot of crazy moves that worked out. But some of the crazy crap I see on ESPN, maybe it's just for a bit, but boy, I don't know if I want Tannenbaum back in the building, to be honest with you. He just does too much crazy shit. I enjoyed him when he was here. There was wonderful memories. And Trader, Tanny, and all that other stuff we got. That was all fun, but no, I don't think I would consider Mike Tannenbaum for that chief of operations position. Wow, fun show, though. Shout out to Matt O'Leary. Thanks to all the callers, and shout out to our number one Austrian Jet fan. You are 95 members away. We'll keep chipping away at that over the coming days and weeks. We're in a bye week, but we're still live every single day at 7:30 in the morning, Boy Green Daily. We'll see if we have a Boy Green Meets Woody coming up at 3 o'clock, TBD, but stay tuned to the channel, and we'll keep you guys posted if we have another show today. If not, we will see you tomorrow morning, Boy Green Daily, 7:30 in the morning. It should be a lot of fun. God bless everybody, and we'll do this again. Let's go.